How's it going, guys and gals? This is Advanced Warrior here, and welcome back to another Advanced Wars by Web replay commentary with another special video, another collab, and a very wild game mode. And who else could I have a wild game with other than Red Halo? How's it going, dude?
Hey there. Yeah, it's 12:30 a.m. and what better to do than talk about Advanced Wars by Web?
I mean, is there ever a bad time to talk about Advanced Wars by Web?
I'm just gonna say this before the match. One of the worst things I've ever done. I realized that I was about to boot in a match that I pretty much finished. I just needed to end turn, but I was driving and I was about to like my timer was about down to 0. I had like a minute left. I once was playing while driving, down the road. Pretty awful. Do not follow my advice. Do not do what I do. No,
just don't. Maybe park the car, but I don't know. But yeah, it's 12:30 for us. We'll see how much we can wrap this up. So I said this was going to be a wild game because me and Red Halo decided to have a high funds game. Red Halo, can you explain to anyone unfamiliar what high funds is?
So traditionally in Advanced Wars and Advanced Wars by Web, normally properties give 1,000 funds each turn. So high funds doubles it. So instead, each property and base, and airport and other things, they give 2,000 a turn instead. So normally, some players wouldn't think, oh, that just means more money. But it kind of dramatically changes the meta as well.
Yes.
You get more money, so that normally means faster, certain tech ups are faster, as well as there's usually more unit diversity. Oftentimes, capturing contested properties is sometimes more important to hold on to than unit value at certain points, occasionally. So sometimes if you're able to hold on to that city, it's more worth it than it would be in Standard. And with more units on the map right away, that usually means that powers come online quicker. So certain commanders that have very strong powers oftentimes get better in high funds. Hawk or Andy. I think Andy is and there are certain other ones, and then there are certain ones that get worse.
Oh.
And like Lash and other ones that kind of have weaker powers but better day to day. So
okay.
It's an interesting game mode.
All right. And as you said earlier, there's a different CO tier list. You guys can check that out for yourselves on Advanced Wars by Web. And there's also a different what is it called, like first turn counters or is that how it is? First turn counters?
I have heard the rumors and legends that the first turn advantage counters can be different in high funds, but I leave that to the people that talk about, for instance, other people tried to explain some of it to me and then mentioned using calculus or at very advanced levels of math that I don't use, and
man.
I try to stay away from certain map-making things like the Plague.
I see.
Personally, I've heard the legends that it's different.
Yeah, so the map here is called Autumn's Grace, and yeah, it's a 3-base, 1-airport map. There's 2 comm towers for each players, and something that might jump out at people is that you seem to have an extra infantry. Actually, that's normal, an extra infantry, and you also have a property that is on my side of the map as well.
Yes, that seems to be standard, and games generally still go 50-50, player 1 to player 2. Somehow the math works out to where it makes it balanced. If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't explain it properly, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I see why there's a free infantry for both players now. A starting infantry, I mean. So player 1 can immediately capture the property, and then they have, a turn of, 2,000 income, because it's high funds here. What do you think of the map, Red Halo?
Personally, I like the map overall. I guess personally, this is just personal flavor and it's kind of subjective. I like a strong, one front has two bases, one front has one base. So it becomes harder to stalemate because each side has a strong front and each side has a weak front. So this one kind of is divided where the middle base can kind of go either direction. So I think it's a fine map. I think it's a fine map still.
Yeah, it's a fairly open map, and with 2 comm towers, you can definitely expect a lot of 2-hit KOs from most of our units here. So yeah, as we also mentioned earlier, that the CO tier list is also different in high funds. So if you looked at this in standard, you'd be questioning yourself a little bit. But yeah, it's like I believe these are both on like tier 3 of high funds, which is the lowest one.
Yeah, I think that it actually changed in the last year or so. So the tier list used to kind of underrate Kindle a bit, which makes me sad because I would always play Kindle in that tier. So.
All right, but yeah, different COs, and I've definitely had fun picking this CO here. Jess. Jess's day-to-day is that all of her vehicles have plus 10% offense, but all other units have minus 10% offense. So, you know, her navy units and her copters, air units, maybe not as much, but this weakness is actually very painful to her infantry. Her infantry are going to have a hard time capturing. It's harder for them to interrupt caps, and it's also harder for them to defend because they're going to hit a lot less harder, and therefore Jess seems to struggle in the early game because of that infantry weakness. Her power, she has good powers though. Her power is turbocharge. Turbocharge gives all of her vehicles, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting, gives, what the heck? Gives all of her vehicles plus 20% offense and plus 1 movement, as well as refueling all their fuel and resupplying all their ammo. And overdrive, I keep forgetting this. I don't talk about just that much. Overdrive plus 40% attack for all their vehicles and plus 2 movement, as well as resupplying all the fuel and ammo. Reason I picked Jess, because although the infantry are a bit weaker, there are 2 comm towers on the map, which made me feel a little more comfortable playing Jess. Won't get 120% offense, but I felt 110% would be kind of nice. What do you think of Jess, Red Halo?
I think that Jess is quite a bit better in high funds than standard overall, because in high funds you can you get income faster, and then big units like tanks, MD tanks, Neos, and other units come out faster. So I think that it kind of mitigates Jess's weakness of her weak infantry in high funds a bit, as long as there aren't any infantry fights early on. So if you are a Jess, but then if they're killing your infantry early on, or if they're delaying your captures, then she would probably be terrible on some maps. But I think in general she's a very solid pick in this tier.
All right. And you said earlier we have Kindle. Kindle's day-to-day is that all of our units gain 40% attack with the prerequisite of attacking from a property. So that is cities, bases, airports, ports, comm towers, labs, HQs. Missile silos apparently, but most of the time you'll just see like used up old missile silos that just give like 3 terrain stars with like no resupplying or whatever, so those don't count. But other properties, Kindle gets that nice 40% boost. Her power is Urban Blight. Urban Blight deals 3 damage to all enemies on properties and increases her property bonus to 80%. And her super High Society gives plus 3% offense for every city that Kindle owns, as well as giving a firepower boost attacking on properties with 130%. So thoughts on Kindle, Red Halo, and why'd you pick her?
I pick Kindle a lot in whatever tier she's legal in tier 3 in standard, or here in high funds. I play a lot of Kindle. I think that she's a really deep and interesting commander when you get into her abilities and how to maximize them well. Oh, yeah. So I like the idea of it kind of makes cities lava for you. If I'm able to threaten my powers, you say, well, I can't be on the cities. But at the same time, if you put any units beside cities, then they become incredibly vulnerable.
Oh, yes.
So it's kind of this web of danger around every single property. And I guess personally, if I were to say that some of the weaknesses as well, the weaknesses of Kindle are generally her long-term powers. If you could weather the storm of Kindle, and if you could keep it even, or even if you're losing a little bit, oftentimes her contemporaries have better powers than her, like Andy in Standard, or Rachel's, or on certain maps, this and that. So I feel like you have a lot of early game pressure with Kindle, and you could sometimes be a little weaker in the end game, but you hope to snowball enough and threaten with your powers enough to win. So yeah, I absolutely adore Kindle.
Yeah, Kindle. I like how strong Kindle is, but yeah, just not a whole lot of weaknesses for Kindle. As Red Halo said, later in the game, her powers do start to diminish slowly, as well as the fact that if she's not attacking from a property, she's not getting any of those bonuses. It's hard to say that's a weakness, because she's basically just normal without cities. But yeah, like it's not Advance Wars without cities, or it's just going to be a really awkward game there. All right.
A very common tactic, I'll just mention really quick, is for Kindles for long-term pressure. Usually, you want to try to put artilleries, or rockets in high funds, because with the higher funds, on contested cities as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Because then that gives you that middle game, just amazing pressure. It's hard to keep Kindle from getting them on the cities, and even occasional battleships on ports just do so much crazy.
Oh my god, yes. Sadly, there are no ports on this map. Sadly. All right. So, anything else to add before we begin?
Oh, I think that's about it.
All right, so I'll start it off. If you notice anything that you'd like to stop on, feel free to let me know. So, of course, obviously, the first thing I want to do is just make sure that Red Halo is not getting any more funds from that one property. So I'm just going to get that as soon as I can, and now I could start to focus on capturing the base. I wanted to, get myself out in the front line a bit further than putting my infantry back here. It's a nice little chain, but that's just a turn where I don't have an infantry already threatening, say, some of these properties here. How do you feel about my forward moving infantry?
I think your opener was actually better than mine. I kind of just went with instinct on what felt. My idea early on, I decided I was going to buy an early APC, which you'll see. I thought I might be able to make it worth it in the long run if I was able to increase the speed of some of my captures of my cities. I don't know if it was worth it in the long run though, because I gave up having using those funds for an early vehicle. So I don't think it was worth it in the way I did it.
I see. And here we see that on day 3 I have enough for an artillery. I built an artillery from the back base here because I want my infantry to be closer to the front. And plus I think artilleries move a lot faster than foot soldiers, which is why I built it from the middle, so this infantry can have more space moving forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if it's too far forward, then it can be punished by a tank or something else, yeah.
Yeah. My plan with the artillery was to have it block 2 properties at the same time, which isn't so hard to do considering that most of these properties are 2 tiles away from each other. This one's kind of around 3 tiles away, but it's still enough for an artillery to cover 2 properties if it's in range of those. Now, one thing I also want to say about this map is that the airport is also kind of in an awkward space behind these pipe seams, so it feels like something has to go out of its way just to capture this airport here.
Yeah, I like that. I like that it's not in a convenient place where it's just on your way, so then you have to slow down something in order to get the airport. I like the give and take in it.
Yeah. And my first direct vehicle is a medium tank. I'm not used to the high funds meta, but I feel awkward like building tanks here. Like I'm used to building tanks on like standard and fought games, but building a tank just feels like a slightly pricey recon, personally.
Normally in high funds, you usually see more Neos than MD tanks because you have more money, and just the speed lets you front switch so much better with Neos. MD tanks certainly have their place, though.
Yep.
I should have matched you with other units. I don't know about this APC. It might have been a decent buy because it sped up some of my captures, but at the same time, it had major cons too. I made major concessions buying this APC.
Gotcha. Alright, so I felt like this infantry would take a while to like capture this and then go to the comm tower, so I just let this one go for it. And these two infantry down here, they immediately capture another property. Moving my artillery forward in hopes to start blocking some properties, and the medium tank can also do the same thing. And like I said, this tank here, I kind of felt like it was like, treated like a recon just a little bit, but I saw that you had this artillery, and that extra 3000 could maybe help in this tank actually doing more damage to an artillery than recon, so that's why I opted for a tank here.
I guess I'll quickly mention, in case people don't know, if you see the little movement animations for the penguins, I made those. I know every single pixel, and I didn't make them idle animations, but I made the running back and forth and the up and down. And I worked on the vehicles for Cobalt Ice.
That reminds me, you are the fourth guy I've collabed with who's picked Cobalt Ice.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're cute, but holy crap, like, four of you went for Cobalt Ice?
As far as I know, when I first joined the server and first joined Advanced Wars by Web around late 2018, I think.
Okay.
I don't think they were that popular at the time, honestly.
Huh. Okay.
We meme them into popularity or something.
I see.
So I went for early Neo just because I love Neo tanks and artillery, and honestly, I didn't calculate that much. I was just thinking, I'm just going to build these and I'm going to wing it and try to figure something out. And it did not pay off for me. I should have calculated a little more.
I see. But yeah, here you see that I have my artillery threatening two of these properties. This poor penguin here can't go for either of these.
I think that your arty was in just an excellent place, and you also got it out faster than mine, and with that MD tank kind of with it as well, I think that your setup here put a lot of pressure on. Honestly, normally as Kindle, sometimes you could play kind of sloppy on contested cities because most COs have a real hard time getting contested cities from Kindle. So sometimes myself and other players that play Kindle a lot will not put as much pressure on the contested cities early on because we assume that we'll be able to get them. And I think that was a pretty big mistake by me, because that's a really good clamp that you have on that area.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, they're all like so close to each other. I figured that in artillery, although I'm not very comfortable with artillery out in the open, I just figured that at this point of the game in early artillery, it's just going to block off like at least half of the properties here. But here comes the double Neo tank, and I only have medium tanks to contest your Neo tanks. Which, if I could get them off a city and I could like get my comm towers, then woo. But yeah, although I do kind of like you said, I do kind of have the artillery clamping these two properties. That Neo tank is on the way, and I like shift my artillery to kind of do a similar thing, block this property and this property as well. Basically pointing my turret at this poor penguin here. It was over here hoping to get these, and now it's over here hoping to get either of these two. So yeah, I am personally proud of this artillery.
Yeah, I think it's kind of one of the key units in your thing, that just the single artillery. I think it was a very excellently placed unit, and even though I have the Neo with such range and other things, I can't hit it, or else the MD tank will get the first hit on my Neo. And now you bring in other big tanks to defend your big tank and artillery. So I think that you did an excellent job on these contested cities, or I just missed something and did a terrible job. Either way, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, I was a little okay with medium tanks attacking your neo tanks because I have like at this point like plus 30%. If I capture this tower, plus 30% on all of my vehicles. But yeah, you've got two. Some people call them death balls.
I'll mention one other thing. So if you notice where I placed my APC, I placed it so I dropped off an inf so it would capture that city, and then my forward inf could be put into the APC right away, and I was going to move it wherever necessary.
Okay.
So that's why I placed my APC there.
And now you've got double artillery of your own here. Alright, day 8 for me. I begin capturing property here. It is in range of the Neo tank, but I think I do sort of have a way to cover it. Oh yeah, this Neo tank here. So if you try to...
I was thinking I was in major trouble because normally I don't have to worry about Jess's getting control over contested cities right away.
Okay.
And I really didn't play this opening right, and then you just have this control, like you're already capping 2 of those central cities over there, and I don't have any of on this other side captured, and I was just thinking, oh, this is looking very, very dicey.
And I'm just already have these 2 under control, put a bit more pressure on the bottom side here. Also, because my HQ is there, wouldn't want to lose my HQ cap. I felt kind of awkward because I really didn't feel like I knew what to do with my units at this point. I did build a recon here because there's like no other vehicles to threaten a recon, so I thought this moving up would be an okay unit to deal with all these infantry up here. But I can kind of start to see that your APC is feeling like it's paying off. Because you already have 2 of these properties here. I don't have any properties down here, but I do have the middle. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like, you know, a nice little even divide of you get the side where your HQ is, and I just kind of have the middle, and I have nothing on my HQ side.
So my hope early on, or around this time, I was hoping to somehow delay your bottom right corner because I was able to use my APC to capture all of my top left. I was thinking of it like chess compensation, like I lost the center, and I was hoping if I was just able to delay your bottom right, then it might give me some compensation for my lack of center. So that's kind of my rationale for it. That's at least what I was hoping for. I didn't think it worked out, but it's something at least.
I see. Oh man, 3 Neo tanks and a battle copter. I just have like 2 medium tanks, 2 Neo tanks, and a tank. Possibly going to be building a anti-air this turn, or maybe my own copter. Which is a little funny considering I'm playing Jess. Oh, no, I do go for the anti-air, and I go for the rocket here. The reason I went for the rocket was because there's like so many roads that are like near the base here. I just thought a rocket was a very comfortable buy for this base in particular.
Personally, the way I see rockets, I like to think of them as they're good as long as you have enough units to body block around them, or if you could punish them if they attack your rocket. And I was hoping that up there you have some infantry and you have your recon. I don't really have any direct units up there yet, but I was thinking I need to try to be able to break through to hit that rocket if possible.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very expensive buy. And here I like prevent this property. You're starting to like have a lot of units here, so I just thought, like, you know, just trying to cover 2 properties at the same time would be very risky for my artillery. So I just thought I'd put my Neo tank on the best terrain and put an artillery behind it, so you'd be a lot less reluctant to try to kill this Neo tank.
Yeah, you don't have anything to fear because I don't have CO power yet. So yeah, right now it's kind of the floor isn't lava yet.
Yeah, it's funny how you mentioned that Kindle's a very aggressive CO, but don't have to worry about the power right now. Oh, and you do go for this. You do go for this first strike here.
I felt like I needed to, or else I was dead. So I took out the Neo with 2 hits, and then I hit it with my infantry, and then I brought in my artillery. And I was just kind of holding on for dear life. I was thinking, okay, I took out 1 Neo, maybe they'll have problems breaking through this.
Oh man,
that was my best hope.
Yeah, it's what is it? Day 9. You already got the death ball forming up here. Yeah, I thought I was safe doing this, and but I guess not. It's also it's a double comm tower map, so like even Adder or Andy could have killed that Neo tank and do exactly the same thing. Maybe not 2 damage on this artillery because you, sir, are Kindle.
How much did losing the Neo tank make you think, oh wow, I need to do something back right away? Because that's losing a Neo tank is that's especially early on, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I definitely started to feel it. Like I didn't really have too many expectations for this, but like I said, I was a bit proud of having my artillery block 2 properties at the same time, leaving your penguins to shift somewhere else. And then I was like, you know what, at this point I can't do it anymore. Try to change it up, you know, just like hold it. But yeah, apparently holding it isn't cutting it at this point, because again, double comm tower, 2 Neo tanks could have done that. And you also blocked, you also protected them. Like this mountain here is natural protection. You also got like infantry here, which are hard for me to kill. And my only thing that could have really attacked the Neos were this medium tank. Probably could have killed this penguin here, but you have like 2 artillery that would shoot my medium tank if I tried to hit your Neo tanks. So I think I was willing to let you have like those 2 properties. Alright, day 10 here. Just start capturing the properties, and oh, I go for a turbocharge right away. That kind of snuck up on me. What was it, like 1 Neo tank that died and I already got turbocharge?
Yeah, the extra charge and high funds is pretty extreme.
Oh yes. So let's see here. Unfortunately I don't get the kill. I do open up the Neo tank down here.
Well, I'm just curious, was that a roll? Like, was there a chance of Jess tank against a full HP penguin on a forest?
Let's see here. That's
I don't know if that was
50. I think it's like plus 50% attack. No, plus 20 comm tower. CO attack boost. That's like 50 on woods. I'll just put the calculations on the recording. We can look at it ourselves after the. We can look.
Because
Yes.
my gut is that I got lucky. I really think I got lucky on that.
Okay. All right. And the power like also allows this rocket to move up just an extra space. Got the anti-air moving up, and I go for the shot on the Neo tank here, and this have the medium tank attack the Neo tank, and I also one-shot this artillery here, and I was starting to feel a little bit more comfortable again, considering that, you know, I'll have like backup. Like this Neo tank hasn't moved yet. Definitely coming up. I think I killed the penguin up there. Yeah, I killed the penguin up here with my recon, just to get like a cheap shot on your other artillery. Not a whole lot of damage, but something's coming, Red Halo. And
I think this is the kind of turn, I've done turns like this where you think, oh, this is an easy win, I just did a great turn, I'm going to end turn, and then you see your next turn, and then you're like, oh no,
yeah.
What happened? Oh no.
Oh no, oh man, this is going to be a very juicy Kindle turn. And I built vehicles the same time I do. How do you feel about when it comes to like playing against Kindle and Urban play? Because I can see the idea of like just building infantry and cheap vehicles so you don't lose your funds that much, but I've also been told that by doing that it also hurts your tempo from that point and later on in the game.
I honestly, I play a lot of Colin, and that's kind of what I'm known for, and like honestly the entire community is like, oh, that's that guy that plays a lot of Colin and weird maps. If I were to say my best like normal matchup, it's Kindle Dittos. I think that's my best matchup on like the entire site. I love and adore Kindle Dittos because both players at this simultaneously can't be on cities but when other people are threatening their CO powers. But at the same time, they both really, really want to be on cities because they cause massive damage from them. And it's this amazing thing of hot potato. And that was the game that I try-harded the hardest I've ever played. It was an alt against a player 14 or 1500, and they were very strong.
Okay.
And it was a Kindle Ditto in high funds, and I literally spent, normally I just play on Instinct now and other things, but I spent 4 to 5 hours sometimes per turn in the move planner, planning out individual actions, thinking, okay, my options are, I could use my CO power here, or I cannot, and I can move all of these different I think it's a really deep and fascinating power, and also because it's a COP. Now, most people don't think it matters, but if you notice, if you play here, sometimes it really gives you extra meter, especially in Kindle Dittos or Dittos where people mostly use their smaller power, to try to get your hits in where you'll get guaranteed kills anyway, and you don't need your power yet, because you want to just get as much extra power here and there as possible. So I find that that's one of my better strengths, and in most Kindle Dittos, I can squeeze out an extra CO power by such and such turn. So just being able to do that, getting an extra Urban Blight, is such a big advantage in the long run.
Going back to Urban Blight, damaging freshly deployed units. What would you say is the best strategy? Should I just go infantry and lose up tempo, or just try to keep up the tempo and have 9 HP units, or should I half-ass it in a way, build some infantry and maybe one vehicle? What's the best way to deal with Urban Blight from your opponent, and what vehicles or what vehicles to buy?
In my opinion, it kind of matters on the map state. If you really need reinforcements right away, you should often still build them right away. Okay. If you can wait a turn and still keep a stable formation, then that's just you saving extra unit value in the long run. Okay. So it's kind of how necessary is it? How much do you need that extra pressure in units? And so it's that give and take. So do you want to? Yeah, so it kind of depends on the situation, and it gives you 2 different board states.
Okay. Alright. But I definitely felt like I needed some reinforcements, because I kind of saw how bad this turn probably might be. But let's see here. Capture and take a shot on my artillery. And the artillery is gone. And you got the power and just popped Urban Blight.
Yeah, I figured I might as well pop it because it's full.
Yep. And you forego the capture to get that one shot on my medium tank. So now it's looking very dire for me.
Yeah, I felt like that was a key thing. And sometimes people honestly forget that you could just quit captures and attack from a city.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing that some people just honestly just think, okay, they're going to cap that city, then they're going to there's sometimes other options that aren't typical.
All right. We've got the tank, artillery, and another neo tank. How many neo tanks is that right now? Right now you have 4 on the board, and I have 1, and I lost one of mine.
I guess I'll mention to the viewers as well that it also brings a situation where I have pretty much full meter when I pop my power. So I currently have a power active, so if you attack into my neos or any units on cities, they're real hard to hit. They'll do a lot of counterattack. And at the same time, I'm threatening to do the same power next turn if I want to. So you always have to think, oh no, I can't go on cities. I can't put city units next to cities. So just having that threat, that extra pressure, it's really hard to deal with sometimes.
Gotcha. So I know I'm staring down a battlecopter, but I'm still hoping that I get that property. And yeah,
I was really curious about that. I just thought that must be a misclick, or you forgot about, oh, there's another one.
I completely forgot there was another one. Oh yeah, that hurts. Oh, actually, maybe I did it to protect my rocket, maybe? Yeah, that might have been it. Yeah, to try to protect my rocket. I don't know if maybe you would have had a Neo tank that could go through the forest and attack by rocket. But yeah, looking at it now, I think I did it because it was a body blocker, and I was okay with that. And yeah, but this medium tank here, yeah, big mistake. Completely forgot that you had another urban blight. And this wasn't a misclick. I knew there was an urban blight, but hey, I was like, you know, it's a 9 HP bomber. I see all these Neo tanks. I feel like at 9 HP, a bomber can still do something against all these Neo tanks.
It's also worth pointing out that I don't have anything that could hit a bomber currently.
Yeah. And I just built infantry because I couldn't really buy anything else, but it at least saves me from a painful urban blight. And some people don't know this. You had your full meter and then you use your power. It's not because that when you use your power you lose some of your power. It's actually because the cost of your power is actually increased. I believe it's by like 20%.
I should know this. I forget the math. I think it's 10 every single one. It gets more and more expensive every time you use a power.
Yeah.
There's a fun fact in tag matches actually that meter is separate. So if you ban COPs, actually that scaling of cost is actually slower in tag matches a lot of the time.
Yeah, I see. But yeah, you're not losing power. It's just the cost of the power just gets bigger. Which is why Sasha can't hold out Hawk's power forever. Like, Hawk eventually gets the power because the market crash just keeps getting more and more expensive.
I guess I'll also mention it's a minor thing, but earlier I left that infantry where your recon could hit it. For some reason I was thinking it can't one-shot my penguin, and if they do hit it with their recon, it'll bring their recon out of position, so it makes that harder for them to wall break in my center. And that was just a completely intuitive thing, but I was just thinking, I feel like this is an okay play, because then I have to worry about wall breaking less with that recon. I don't know if that's right or wrong. That's just what was going through my mind.
Well, at least it's protecting my comm tower by not being on the property at the least.
I guess personally, I really underrate. Like, I go for comm towers real low. Like, I go for money over comm towers.
Okay.
I wasn't even, honestly, I was thinking there's no way in this world I can get that comm tower from you with all your units around. So like, that wasn't even considered by me whatsoever in my mind. Like,
I see. But yeah, getting a lot of first strikes on my units here. Starting to capture one of my properties. And yeah, this was oh man, this is
I was afraid I might have miscalculated here, because I put my Neo on the city, and I figured as long as you don't get your powers, I was worried about that there might be some way where you could surround my Neo and then attack it with something else, or hit it with multiple units. So the main thing I was worried about was some way that you could surround it that I couldn't break it open. But I was thinking, if you go for that, then the rest of my units can mop up, so...
Oh yeah. Wow, you're really pumping out Neo tanks. And 2 anti-airs for my bomber. I think this was like a bit desperate of me to like try to join cap, because you have 2 units that could kill, but maybe they might have been sticking around too much if they go for that. I don't know. I just felt like I just felt like it was something I could get away with. And yeah, yes, you did have a copter against my copter, but I wanted to interrupt the capture, and I don't know why I did this. Maybe because it was like the safest from your Neo tanks. But I do have a bomber on the way, and oh my god, I keep doing this. Meter management by me, it was absolutely horrible, I will admit.
I was really surprised that I think it's about your 4th or 5th unit that you just put on a city, like, that you just set it there, and I was really surprised. I was also surprised how much you retreated here, because I had Neo tanks but very few other... For some reason I didn't think that you would retreat this far back. Huh. But I guess you didn't have much that could threaten my Neos that much, but yeah.
Yeah. I built an artillery because I'm like, you know what, I'm walling up, but I don't have artilleries for this wall. All my indirects are up here. My wall is down here. Yeah, just some very big micromanagement mistakes by me. There's a reason I'm like I guess 800 in standard.
I find it interesting that certain players either really prefer fog or really prefer vision, and sometimes the skills are transferable, but sometimes they aren't completely there. Like sometimes players be much better in fog than in vision, or players like me, I'm much better in vision than in fog. Like I'm also very greedy, and I think, ooh, a city, ooh, shiny. I got
Shiny
that city.
I'm trying to expand to both, and I feel like if you're playing standard, it's better for fog, but better transferring into fog. But I feel like playing fog and transferring into standard is a bit harder. But I'm taking it slow, and I want to get good with both. High funds, I'll think about that. Alright.
I'm trying to get the, I guess just so people know, I'm also a Discord mod, I'm the site mod for some reason, and I'm also
For some reason.
battle sprite project, so I'm working on the battle sprites for the site currently. So one of the things long term I honestly am trying to get more tag and high funds events, maybe even high funds tag.
Oh my god.
Did you ever play Pokemon growing up, and you would sometimes like play against like other NPCs, but then there's always that one weird NPC that wants to play the weird mode? It's like, I want to play a triple rotational Pokemon battle. If you ever played the games, you might remember that. That's like me. I'm the guy who likes the weird, like, the strange modes.
Would it shock you if I told you I never played Pokemon?
Yes, it's the biggest franchise in the world, and there's Star Wars isn't as big, Harry Potter isn't as big. If you never played Pokemon, you're like not human. Like it's like an anomaly.
Well,
I felt like this was safe enough for what I was doing, and I wanted my units to heal up a bit, so I put my Artie and my Neo there. So
Okay.
I thought that this was safe enough. I just did a rough calculation.
okay.
And if you notice here, for just the people watching, this is something that I like to do, where I have a Vanguard and I put a Copter in front if there's nothing that anybody else can use to contest it. And I didn't think that you would have enough meter to use your CO power, and if you attacked enough to get it, then I would be able to punish you for it in order for that AA to attack. So sometimes I just love using these flying Vanguards. It's amazing shields because just these tanks and artilleries just can't do anything to them.
Alright.
So that's another bonus of flying units that I sometimes don't see incorporated with a lot of players.
Gotcha. So, maybe back to the talk of never playing Pokemon, or maybe after the stream.
Hey, that has to be a lie. Like, I can't be... You never desired to be the best, like no one ever was? I don't understand.
I wanted to stop the Black Hole Army. Now I want to join the Black Hole Army. Let's just say that. I also wanted to save Princess Peach and Zelda. That was my childhood. Alright, so yeah, you're kind of holding the middle very well. Kind of just walling up here. I feel like I think you mentioned earlier, but before we started, that there was like a point where I like overextended or something like that.
I think it was earlier. Well, it was the Neo, and then it was the turn after the Neo where I was able to hit those two MD tanks because I stopped my captures.
Yeah,
I think that
sometimes
I
I
think
don't recognize. Okay, sorry. I was just saying that sometimes I don't recognize if I've overextended or not. Like maybe like past this mountain, I probably would have realized I've overextended. But looking at it now, this base has a lot more clear terrain to get to here faster than this base that has to go around like this pond or whatever. So I can kind of now see where I might have overextended.
Yeah, I mean, if you just had that extra Neo from earlier, and if you just had another Neo running around, it would have put so much more pressure on me.
Okay.
It's losing that and just getting, like, you lost a Neo, and my Neo went to 7 HP instead. That was a massive blow.
Oh, yeah. So now,
and I always try to, for just the people that are watching, just very, very quick. I try to always make sure that my anti-air can also defend each other, because there are certain COs, if they have powers, if they're able to just hit a anti-air, and if your or kill it, and if your other anti-air can't reach it, then it's just a simple, easy thing. So I always try to chain them together whenever possible.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Especially maybe in fog as well. I know you said like you prefer vision, but I can see that working in pretty much any game mode actually. Alright, so day 14 here. I'm trying to interrupt the captures, and I just stop right here. Got the Neo tank attacking your Neo tank. And yes, I understand some of these attacks are beginning to look very, very weird. I popped my turbocharge. Would have been nice to have it like earlier in the turn. Neo tank just... I'm just gonna...
you put one Neo tank on a city, one beside a city. You put a bomber beside a city.
It looks... It's all really bad turns because as you can see, I'm just gonna quickly go through this. This was the turn I resigned. Not because of that very specific turn, but the last turn I felt like I lost this game, which is why I did all those really weird moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think that your opening was better and mine didn't pan out. I think your control of the center was better than my slightly faster cap on the top left. Okay. Yours wasn't much slower, and I wasn't able to delay yours much. I think it's just the overextending with the Neo and then the two MD tanks. I think that's what tipped the balance. If it wasn't for that, if you kind of just held the pressure and just brought more units in to threaten me, I think you would have beaten me.
Yeah, like I said, at that point, it didn't feel like overextension. It felt like, it's just the even middle. But
you're on a city and I can't use Urban Blight, and you're thinking, ooh, it's so much defense, and I have a Artie right here.
Yeah, but instead what you do is just like you attack with the Neo tanks, and then you have an infantry blocking that very city and like getting a cheap shot on my artillery. Yeah, that losing a Neo tank really did feel like it was the turning point of the match. What do you think I could have done possibly like after that turn?
After the turn where you lost the Neo?
Yes.
That right here?
Uh-huh.
I think it's dicey. I'm trying to see who's in the balance here.
Okay.
I think you have to retreat with your Artie. I don't think you can hit my Neos without losing much more, because because my Neos are right beside cities as well. Mm-hmm. So if you attack into them, then just the counter attack is so strong. I think it's a retreat, lick your wounds, try to bring in your other units, and hope to beat me in the long game. Try to capture all of your cities in the bottom right, and I think it's kind of a pullback and bring your rocket, because your rocket isn't in place, and it'll be a while before that's in. But at some point, if you kind of brought it in safely, it would be able to zone my units back by quite a bit.
So I should have like started consolidating this turn, and surrender these cities and like try to hold these, I guess.
Either try to hold those, but then at the same time, I'm threatening to try to start capturing some of your cities like that. So that's try to maybe. I think that the rocket's too slow, and also you need it to. It'll take a few turns to get into place, and I think if you built something else, maybe a Neo, because then it would be over. It would be in the front in a couple turns. But this rocket takes 2-3 turns just to be able to sit. Then it attacks. And I think you might have. I think you bought this AA before I bought it. Oh, wait, no, I already had one copter on the field.
Yeah, I had a copter on the field.
Necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess after this game, I'm beginning to see that Neo tanks are king in high funds.
And one other thing I'll mention for people here, because APCs on some maps are actually very, very good. And sometimes I see very excellent players even build 2 APCs in the beginning. It depends on the map. I thought I would get more value out of it than I did. But another value is, like, for example, my artillery here, you could also think of them as instant walls. they're really bulky, and you can move an infantry to another turn, and sometimes you could put an infantry in it and also free unload. Sometimes you just have instant walls to protect your artillery. So there's a lot of synergy there if you think about it. Because if I didn't have that APC there, hypothetically, my arty would be much more vulnerable than it is. But here, it kind of makes an instant wall, and it's kind of hard to get to now.
Yeah. And the fact that you have like 3 artilleries like all balled up together with your neo tanks, it's very hard to attack into. But I think this turn I did end up attacking into it anyways.
I guess for viewers, especially because if you have newer viewers too, sometimes if they'll see like your neo on the city, some people immediately just go with their instincts, like, oh, it's on terrain, I can't hit that thing, or oh, if my unit hits their unit, I'll be on the worse end. But sometimes if you hit it with multiple units, and if you have enough backup like artilleries or other things, sometimes you can make attacks into where they don't seem like you can, and sometimes you can make big gains from that. So yeah, keep an open mind sometimes for people that are watching.
Oh yes, definitely.
Sometimes you could attack into places that you don't expect. The main person I learned that from, I guess I'll just mention really quick, is from the Fang, who's a very strong player. Advanced Wars by Web. It was, honestly, I was a fairly new player around 2 years ago now, or 3, so I'd played for about a year at that point, I think.
Okay.
I made arty walls with infantry, and I was like, okay, this is a really sturdy wall. This is good. I'm going to pressure them. I'm going to push in. Next turn, they found some way to attack me, and I figured I can't attack them back, or if I do attack them back, then in the long run I'll lose more unit value. And I figured no matter what unit composition at the time, like of my strength at the time, he found some creative way to attack into it. And I find that being able to find creative ways to attack just opens so many doors in this game.
Yep. So that's what Advanced Wars is. There's just so many different moves, so many different calculations to make, and
this is also a battle of the gingers, if you notice too. You have Jess here, redhead, and then you have Kindle here, redhead. You know.
Yeah, I feel like Kindle just has like a more deeper shade, like more red than Jess, or at least that's what it felt like.
Well, if you consider amount of hair compared to amount of hair, they have much more hair.
Yeah, I feel Kindle's just saying Kindle's looks dyed. That's what it feels like. Kindle's hair looks dyed.
So this is a spoiler warning for a mod that may never come into existence. But I guess I'll mention. So while I'm working on the Battle Sprite project for Advanced Wars by Web, I've been stripping all of the original Advanced Wars battle sprites into A-Sprite files. So I kind of have all of these files of all of these Advanced Wars units now, and I could use them for things.
Okay.
And I have some certain friends in Wargroove that we might, they'll do the coding part, and we might do a big Advanced Wars mod in Wargroove where people can use all of the units and all of the property tiles, this and that. And hypothetically, if we do this, we might do a campaign, like myself and some other people, and if we do, I'm planning on changing the plot where Kindle actually turns out to be super old and Cole's great-great-grandmother and older than Von Cole. That's going to be one of the big reveals. For the whole earlier part of the game, and Cole's going to start calling Kindle by something with G, and then Kindle will give something with G. Look. And at some point, he'll just blurt it out like great-grandmother or something. She's just furious. So also, Sensei will have an earlier. So Sensei in this mod, if it becomes reality, Sensei's senile, just shit senile. His memory is just gone.
I mean, have you played Dual Strike?
Yes, I've played. I had roughly 700 to 1,000 hours.
He's hella senile. Like what the heck?
No, he has delusions, and in the mod, it's really turned up to 11. He remembers fighting Kindle's great-grandmother. And then he remembers also Marth popping up and other things. And then Grim's like, yeah, he's just the senile man. You can't trust anything. So Kindle in mod's actually older than Sensei.
What the hell?
If it comes out. So this is a spoiler warning for a thing that might never happen and is not created yet.
I mean, this is going to... I mean, it might be a while until this video comes out. Not entirely sure. But, oh, man, that's quite the reveal there.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the game. Anything else that I Anything else that I did well, or are there any other major points you feel like I could have improved on?
I think it was rough for you once you lost the center is what you had. I was able to get the top left captured faster and I get that income. And once you just lost the Neo tank and then lost these two juicy hits to these MDs in the center, I just immediately gained center control.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hard for you to get it back. And I don't know if you could, maybe, if somebody really calculates some way. I feel like you just had to retreat and just try to keep me from stealing more of your properties.
Okay.
But other than that, I think you outplayed me in the beginning. I don't think my opening worked out well.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it's always good to
I
hear.
wonder what would happen if you bought more Neos instead of MDs, because you run really hard with MDs.
Yeah, it's yeah, I just didn't think Neos would dominate that much. I kind of felt like that medium tank would like probably be like the more decent, cost efficient unit for Neo tanks if they get the first strike. But yeah, like I think with like especially with like turbocharge, if I can rewind to that moment in the game, um, yeah, like we have a Neo tank on a plane and oh no, that's like 6 HP, but yeah, I kind of figured with a combination of like artillery and medium tanks, I'd do okay against a Neo tank, and plus they're like cost the same as well. But
Mhm.
this was not a very good attack, because obviously the counterattack is going to be was actually devastating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. All right, but
You also kept putting units on cities. If you gave me a lot of free unit value that you kind of just gave for free.
yeah,
If you didn't put those units on cities, it would have been much tougher.
yeah, I have some micromanagement issues that I still need to perfect in this game. Definitely.
Yeah, it's
But
understandable.
yeah, but I just want to say like thanks so much for having this game with me. I've definitely learned a lot here. High funds is very interesting. Starting to learn that maybe Neo tanks are king of high funds. But
Well, you need to try tags sometime. I guess that's the next one in the future.
maybe maybe there's no dual strike though, which makes me kind of sad.
You ever play against Double Andy? Oh, it's like a double barrel shotgun in that tier. I
Oh
honestly
my
think
God.
Andy's underrated in tag and high funds. It's such a stupid idea, but Double Andy is so. You don't know what it's like to go have to like fight against like an Andy that has SCOP and then uses their super CO power and then immediately tags and has another one like ready. Or if you attack back, then you can do it again. It is. I sometimes put so much like at first you're in trouble because as Double Andy because you have no day to day for either one. And they just kind of beat you up for a while.
Oh.
But then once the powers start, then they're like, oh no. Oh no.
Oh no! Oh no! You better kill everything twice. All right.
Yeah, well, if you have a 1 HP unit, if you have two Andy SCOPs in a row, it's full. It's full health again in a couple turns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future.
Sure.
All right. So, do you have any parting words before we sign off here, Red Halo?
Join the Discord server because the public games queue is hit or miss, and
Yeah.
we're working on the battle sprites. It's they'll be decided in the end by Matsuzen, the Stellaria, the current site admin. But I have some very bizarre ideas. As you could tell, I have very strange tastes, and that also goes in with the battle animations.
All right. So where can they find you, Red Halo? Where can the viewers find you?
I sure hope they can't.
Oh,
Um,
on socials.
Yeah, I'm on the AWBW Discord server.
Mod.
I honestly joined. The first time, not to take up more time here, but honestly, 4 years ago, I saw Advance Wars by Web. There's some fan game for Advance Wars. Like I played a lot of by myself. I was like, I might pop in for a bit. So I click on the link, and I'm just thinking like, I'll just like look at this place for 5 minutes or something, and then like leave the server. Somehow I'm stuck here now. I don't know what happened. I legitimately was just gonna pop in and out. It was.
Yeah.
Wow, something happened.
Yeah, something happened. I only heard about Advance Wars by Web recently from CO Select.
Ooh, I see.
Yeah, so very new to this, but I've always wanted to play PvP Advance Wars, which I never had the chance to in my childhood.
I
But
only met one person in real life that also had it. I was at my uncle's barbecue, and I was walking down, and I had like hundreds and hundreds of hours in Dual Strike, and I heard the music, and then I immediately whip around like instinctively without thinking, and I'm like, "Are you playing Advance Wars Dual Strike?" And then they were like, "Yeah, do you know what this game is?" I'm like, "Yeah."
no one knows what this game is.
I immediately start looking to see if I brought my DS with me, and I didn't, and that's
Oh,
the thing
no.
I'm going to regret in my dying days, like before I die.
Gotcha. All right then, guys and gals. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here watching this video, thanks so much for still listening to these to the stories here. Red Halo, again, thank you so much for offering some of your time to have this collab with me. I've always wanted to do this.
Sure, yeah, it was fun.
Oh yeah, it was fun. We've talked before on Discord, so it was really nice that have the chance to play this game with you. All right. Any last things to say?
I think I would said my piece. Hope
Alright.
people enjoyed the video and they weren't annoyed by my rants.
No rants. I don't think so. I wasn't, obviously. All right, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. I am Advanced Warrior. I hope you recognize the red.
What?
Did you just leave?
No, I'm right here. I just thought you were doing your outro.
I mean, you. I was kind of expecting you to, like, do it with me, and they like and I'm Red Halo or something.
Oh,
We'll try again. I'm Advanced Warrior,
I'm Red Halo.
and you all have our warmest regards. Please take care.